Picture the moment. Your child snatches a toy out of another kid's hands. The other child crumples, and every adult turns to look. Before you even take a breath, the reflex kicks in. Say you're sorry. A tiny, flat little voice mumbles the words, and the tension instantly clears. The script worked. We reach for this script because we care. We want our kids to treat others gently and own their mistakes, and asking for an apology feels like the most direct route there. Think of the word sorry as a wrapper. It's an external delivery device for the actual treasure, the internal understanding that your actions landed on another person and caused them pain. We want to grow that inside part. You can't squeeze that genuine care out of a child by demanding the wrapper. So when we insist on the word before they're ready, we inadvertently train them in empty performance rather than genuine empathy. From the child's perspective, they're learning a highly effective survival move. When a grown-up uses a tight tone, you produce the magic words, and the frightening adult pressure disappears. Which leads to an interesting question. Can other children actually tell the difference between a real apology and a forced one? Because if they can't, maybe the performance is totally fine. University researchers charted this, splitting children into free and coerced apology groups. Older children judged coerced apologies as insincere, and the forced child as less likable. Even 4-year-olds sensed the hollowness, walking away unsoothed from the pressure-driven apology. Often, in our rush to clear the air, we also push the hurt child to accept that empty word. We say, "He said sorry, so it's okay now," which tells the hurt child to override their own pace of healing and fake forgiveness. The result isolates both children. The offending child loses social standing for offering a fake apology, and the victim is taught that their lingering pain is an inconvenience that needs to be smoothed over. So if the coerced version fails, why don't we just expect young kids to offer a sincere apology on their own? A genuine apology requires a stack of skills. The foundational block is emotional regulation, calming big feelings enough to think. Above that is perspective taking, imagining another's mind, requiring biological hardware that doesn't start functioning until age 3 or 4. When you stand over a 3-year-old in the heat of a meltdown and demand heartfelt remorse, you are asking for a cognitive output their brain is literally under construction to do. You might as well hold up a novel and demand they read it before they've learned the alphabet. If words fail and the biological hardware isn't ready yet, what do you actually do when everyone's watching? You shift your goal away from chasing the apology, and you start building the repair. A repair is entirely different from a forced script. It's an action, a physical sequence of events, and most importantly, it's something a small child is actually capable of doing. The sequence starts with what we can call the wall. First, you step in and calmly stop the harmful behavior. You might say, "I won't let you knock down her tower." You're firm, you don't lecture, and you skip the public shaming. Once things are safe, you move to the spotlight. You gently turn your child's attention toward the victim. You kneel down and say, "Look, she's crying." Because their perspective-taking hardware is still growing, you are lending them yours. Finally, you open the door to the action. Instead of demanding they say sorry, you ask, "What can we do to help her feel better?" Maybe they rebuild the block tower. Maybe they grab a tissue or a stuffed animal. This physical making of amends carries the real lesser. They practice the muscle of moving toward the person they hurt, rather than performing magic words to make the adult stop looking at them. That movement is the true foundation of empathy. There's one final piece to this, and it requires looking at our own behavior rather than our children's. Kids don't learn what a real apology sounds like from being forced to give one. They learn it by watching how the adults around them handle their own mistakes. When you lose your temper, that isn't a failure to hide. If you circle back later when everyone is calm and offer an honest, unprompted apology, saying, "I was frustrated and that wasn't your fault," you show them exactly what true accountability looks like without any pressure. Moving beyond the forced script cultivates children who possess the internal awareness to feel genuine concern and the practical tools to act on it. That is the whole work, and you're already doing it.